Hi, this is Lisa with Simply Scrappings and Crafts for a coping lesson on how to color whites. Now, I color whites in 3 different ways with 3 different color combinations, and let me show you. This is another little image from Gems, which I thought was perfect for this lesson. First of all, it's a no-brainer because it has the shading marks on it, and second of all, it's perfect for white. I mean, most coffee cups are white. To be able to insinuate that you have white on your paper, you need to add another color. And as silly as that sounds, that is truly the truth. And what I'm going to do is you can do it 3 different ways. You can do it more of a true white, which is using the cool grays, which would be using the C00, the C0, and the C1. And the way I'm going to start off, I'm going to use my C1. I'm going to go around these little marks. Just give a little bit of color. Once again, modified feather stroke. All right, and this gives you the marks where you're supposed to do it already. It's kind of, it's a nice way to do this, and the reason being is because you're not having to think about where your light source is. So when you're practicing, it's a nice thing to do. Okay, and this obviously, this little ribbon's going to throw, and the heart is going to throw a little bit of a shadow there. So add that there. All right, now I'm going to go on with my C0, and I'm going to blend into that. And this does not have to, this is very imperfect at this point. That's fine. Now the one thing I will caution you right now is that you need to make sure your colorless blender pen is full. And I am thinking, I don't know whether mine is full enough or not. I'm going to go with my C00. And they all just have a little bit more solvent in them. Okay. Blending into that much very imperfectly. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get my colorless blender, and I'm going to do circles and blend into that last color, the C00 color. What that does is that helps blend that color into the white. It fades it out. All right. And while this is drying, we'll go ahead and do the rest of it. I work in really small areas, one, because I don't want my color to dry, but also because I live in a very, very dry environment and my color probably dries quicker than yours. And I really want the blending to be more apparent. This is C1, C0, once again, very imperfect. You may need to go over this blending with your colorless blender a few times. That's okay. And that's something you kind of have to wait for it to dry. You have to wait for all the solvent to kind of eat out of all of it. And you can tell it's not perfect over here. There's no way to tell once your colorless blender starts going in there. It just kind of all makes the paper a little wetter. I'm going to go back up here. I really can't hurt anything at this point. And I would do this first because if I accidentally go over the line into the ribbon here or into the heart, it's not the biggest deal in the world. See, I'm running out of colorless blender. So I'm going to visit with you for a minute while I fill up. Here's a tip I always have. I have a small colorless blender tube, and I use that to fill my colorless blender on here, but it's not really all that economical. I like to buy the huge colorless blender solution, which I think is like $9 or $10. And then I refill that colorless blender solution into this little one because I was finding I was spending a lot of time getting up and down and up and down and up and down to get colorless blender solution. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Woohoo! All right, going over those. All right, let's let those dry. And I'll go over the back here. I can't be stopped now, huh? All right, now sometimes you may want a color for white that's a little bit different. Maybe this doesn't suit the colors that you're going to use. Maybe a cool gray is not going to work really well to suggest white for you. Maybe you're using more bright colors. If you were doing that, I would probably suggest you use the next color combination. Okay, I'll put this off to the side and we'll show the final result after it dries, okay? I would use the following combination if it's more with bright colors. Okay, I would use my B00, my B000, and my B quadruple 0. Once again, doing the same thing. And I'm not going to do the whole one on this one. I'll just do the outline real quick. Okay. Very sparingly with the B double 0. Now, you know, it's always funny to me how B double 0 can be so dark, because it really is dark. Especially compared to the all the other, you know, colors. And the double, triple, and quadruple zeros are so much more lighter than this is. Again, blending into that very lightly and going in with my B quadruple 0. So this is another way. It's just like to indicate that it's white. May get my colorless blender, and I'm going to blend into that. Now, if I've made it too heavy any place, I can blend over that too. And once again, if it meshes into any of the outside there, into the heart, into the ribbon, it's no big deal because you're going to color over it anyway. You can color over it. You don't have to worry about colorless blending it away. Okay. You've got a white indicated by blue. Now, the third way I would do it is I would look at something that was a little more antiqued in nature, which would be like maybe if I thought that this was an older cup or I was doing more of a shabby chic or a vintage look, I would use my E53. I got a little ahead of myself. Here you go. E53, E51, and E50. I use these colors so much. And I think that if you have them, you know what I mean. They're great for anything vintagey or antique-y. They're great for like socks. They're a great color without being too dark. Like some of the earth tones or the E colors can be a little bit dark when you're trying to just do a hint. And these are just a hint of color. And when you look at the E double 0, triple 0, quadruple 0, they're all a little bit too flesh tony. But this is really a true brownie brown. And it's almost like if you use any of your stamp pads, they're like a tea stain. That's what they remind me of. Put 50 in there. Once again, I'm not being perfectionist about this, which is one of the few things I'm not a perfectionist about. So we should all rejoice. Going in with my colorless blender. Okay. And blending that in. And you may decide you want to use a different color to indicate white for different things. That's fine. You can also use a blue-green if you want, the BG, double 0, triple 0, quadruple 0. That works also. Okay, let's let this dry and let's go back and revisit our colors. This is the gray to indicate white. Here's the blue to indicate white. And we're drying, we're drying. Here is and you can see that solvent right there. Here is the earth tone or the brown to indicate white. Okay, thank you. This is Lisa for Simply Scrapping at Crafts at www.creativecanines.blogspot.com.